Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Josh Planos. I serve as the Vice President of Marketing, Communications, and PR at the Better Business Bureau, where I work alongside my colleague Jenny Tukeski, who's our Programming and Communications Manager, to oversee our recognition programs, including the Torch Awards for Ethics, which is our flagship program. It's been around since 1995. These awards intend to celebrate the businesses and nonprofits that demonstrate exceptional commitment to ethics and integrity. The awards are open to all organizations. They are free to apply. They don't require BBB accreditation. So if you're interested in applying or nominating somebody, you can do both right now at bbb.org/MWP Torch. I would recommend that you go through that specific URL because there are bureaus all around the country and into Canada even that have their own programs, and you want to make sure that you're applying for the one that's in our service area if you are a business in Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, or South Dakota. Today, I am thrilled to welcome you to our webinar, How 2025 Torch Award Winners Built Ethics First Businesses. And I'm joined by some outstanding leaders today who will share how they've embedded ethics into the DNA of their organizations. To start, we have Tanya Wenzel of All About Travel in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is a full-service travel agency that creates an inclusive workplace where every employee's voice is heard. They intend to foster relationships that are built on trust with their clients. I'm also joined today by Lisa Clark of Helitech Waterproofing and Foundation Repair that's based out of Kansas City, Missouri. And that is a company that operates on a faith and family first foundation. They prioritize employee well-being and empowerment. While BBB accreditation isn't required to win a Torch Award, I'm pleased to note that our two winners today, our panelists, are both accredited. All About Travel has been accredited since 2011. Helitech has been accredited since 1993. We certainly appreciate that support of accreditation. Again, thank you to our panelists for joining us today and for the meaningful work you do every day to strengthen your communities. So we'll dive in. We'll ask as many questions as we can in the next hour or so, and then we'll return everyone to the remainder of their day. Tanya, can you start a bit by sharing how your organization, a bit about your organization for those who might not be familiar with it?
Sure. Um, like Josh mentioned, we are located in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If you're familiar with Sioux Falls, we're kind of on the corner of 46th and Western. We've been in the business for 28 years. Brick and mortar storefront, been in the same location that whole time, just have expanded and so on. We are full service travel agency. We do single trips, group trips. We handle travel visas, hotels, cars, a little bit of everything.
Lisa, can you do the same? Share a little bit about your
Of
organization.
course. So Helitech is a waterproofing and foundation repair company that started in 1987 in the St. Louis market. We recently expanded and are now in 9 states. Kansas City is one of our locations, and we very much operate on a faith and family platform. Our employees are key to that, and we make sure that we're driving the importance of putting the customer first through all of our training. So Torch just very much aligns with our business.
Excellent. Well, I love that we've got two, maybe on the surface, contrasting styles of business, but businesses that
Very
care
different.
about ethics, all the same. So I'm curious, Lisa, can you share a little bit about what ethical business practices means to you and your colleagues?
In the foundation repair industry, when it is someone's home and their largest investment, it's very important to have trust in the company. Like many home services industry businesses, our foundation repair and waterproofing business, our reputation is everything. And so those 5-star reviews are something that we review and watch I will say 24 hours a day because my phone goes off 24 hours a day when we get a new one, but it is very much a focus for our company.
Excellent. Tanya, can you share a little bit about what ethical business practices means to you and your team?
Sure. We really believe in doing what's right, whether it's inconvenient or anything for staff wise. We want to make sure every decision reflects honesty, respect, and accountability, where we really believe that we're accountable for everything that we do, we say. We have a lot of we invest a lot in having our people go different locations so that we can honestly say, this is the place to be, or I wouldn't stay there. You know, we would advise against it and so on. So we want to be as upfront and honest as we can with everything that we do. And we take all feedback seriously. We watch and we respond as quickly as we can and see what we can do to make things better, or just to listen and to find out what went wrong or
Absolutely.
what went right.
We're also joined today by April Kane, in line with bringing in three very different organizations, but all of them Torch Award winners from 2025. We have April Kane joining us here from Diapers to Diplomas Learning Center. They're based out of Omaha. That is an organization that empowers families through high quality education. They also offer specialized support for military families, including flexible scheduling and counseling services. Welcome, April. Her organization has been accredited since 2016, and they were recognized as our other panelists were at the 2025 Torch Awards luncheon. April, can you share a little bit about your organization for those who might not be familiar with it?
Yeah, so we are, like you said, a high quality early learning center that specializes in nurturing tiny humans who occasionally attempt to run the world one crayon at a time. We provide a safe, loving, step 4 rated environment where education, development, and joy collide daily, usually accompanied by glitter. Our mission is simple. We build strong foundations, support families, and raise tomorrow's leaders one snack at a time.
One snack at a time. I like that. April,
They eat all day.
April, can you share a little bit about what ethical business practice means to you and your team over at Diapers to Diplomas?
Yeah, for us, ethics means doing the right thing every time, even before the caffeine kicks in. It's about transparency, fairness, respect, and holding ourselves to the same expectations we set for the children. Be kind, be honest, and keep your hands to yourself unless it's a high five.
Okay. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Torch Awards process before we open things back up to maybe a little bit more organizational information. So, Tanya, to start, can you share what inspired your organization to apply for the Torch Award this year, and what did you learn along the way when you applied?
Sure. We read what it said about what the award means, and we felt that by applying for it, and if we would win it, it would strengthen our trust with our customers, and as well as internally with our employees and with our vendors. And winning this award was a huge honor for us, and we couldn't wait to share the news with everybody. And we did find that, transparency it's easier to say than to demonstrate. So that was one thing that we kind of learned along the way. You can say you're ethical, but you really need to demonstrate it to prove and to gain that trust.
Lisa, can you do the same? Maybe share a little bit about what inspired your organization to apply and if there were any insights you picked up along the way.
It's a bit of a tradition here at Helitech. The Midwest Award was our ninth torch award that we've won. It's something that we try to apply for in every region. We want to hold every office accountable for that level of ethics and to prove that with the number of reviews we have and reviewing their processes and the training in place. The application process really gets more of the managers at each office in tune with the standards and how that is measured, and to really put into words what they did to prove it. So that's very helpful for our organization to be able to think back, even in the past year, and understand how they upheld those standards.
I think it's fantastic that we have organizations like Helitech who will return to this program after they've won it historically. I think that's great that there's an ongoing interest in supporting it. And also when you win in multiple service areas, it's an opportunity to shine a light on the unique employees and cultures that can even manifest in different markets, right? I mean, Helitech obviously has an organizational philosophy that flows into all of these different regions, but there are different hands that are more or less, molding the application in these different markets. So I think it's a really nice way for everyone to feel involved, especially when you have an organization as large as your own. April, you've been accredited since 2016. Why was 2025 the year that you applied for the Torch Awards?
I mean, honestly, I just found out about it. Otherwise, we probably would have done it sooner. So, I don't even know how I stumbled upon it, but I did, and I'm really glad I did.
Oh, we're grateful that you did as well. Was there anything that you learned through the application process that maybe wasn't a surprise to you, but maybe led to you implementing something or feeling like you knew a little bit more, I guess, about the organization and some of these decisions that we make all the time as people in business, but maybe don't think about as regularly as we do when we're forced to answer set criteria and set questions.
I mean, I guess like the inspiration of applying. So, like, we applied because our families keep telling us, like, you guys deserve awards for what you do, and we figured it was time to let a panel of professionals confirm that. So the Torch Award process pushed us to look inward and recognize just how deeply ethics are woven into our daily operations, often in ways we don't fully appreciate it until we have it written down.
For sure. Sometimes when folks go through the application process, they're asked to resurface things that may have been challenging in the past, right? It's very easy to have an awards program that just plays the highlights, right? And one thing I really like about the Torch Awards is there are set questions that involve sharing specifics about times where you had to make a tough ethical decision and how did your organization handle it, to really get a sense for how the organization manages conflict to a degree. April was during the application process or outside of it even. Can you share a specific example of a time when your company had to make a tough decision and how you navigated it?
Yeah, sure. We once faced a choice between maximizing classroom capacity or restructuring to better support children's developmental needs. We chose what was best for the families and children because at the end of the day, integrity is worth far more than a full roster. So, I mean, I have kids that are very challenging, and I have had families come to me where other centers, instead of working with the child and figuring out how to help the child, they just kick them out of the center. There's a center down the street from me that is I'm constantly getting their troubled kids, and their families are very, very grateful to me because I don't give up on their kids. And then once their kids get out, comfortable here, then their behavior turns around. We have structure, we have schedules that we follow, so that really helps when the kids know what's coming up next with their anxiety, because that leads to behaviors that when we have anxiety, we're not ourselves. So with being structured and following schedules, then, I don't know, we just don't give up on kids.
Lisa, can you share a specific example of a time when your organization had to make a tough ethical decision and shed a little bit of light on how your organization handled it?
Sure, of course. As you can imagine, with a volume of business that we do and we've been doing for years and years, there's going to be some customers that are unhappy. And rather than giving a specific example, because they can be very similar, if a customer has concerns after a project is complete or a complaint about something, it's for us all about how we handle that. We can only control how we react to their complaint, and the speed in which we respond to them and the way in which we go above and beyond to make that customer happy and really deliver on our promise. That is probably the best example in general of how Helitech handles conflict or ethical decisions. It's something that I have seen repeatedly. Obviously, that is not a common problem for each of those individual homeowners. Once your foundation is failing and your house is literally sinking or cracking, they can be panicked, and communication is key in that process. And really making sure from the very first phone call to the production team, the billing department, everyone along the way has compassion for that homeowner and does their best to communicate the process. That really goes a long way.
Yeah, it sure seems like the emotional support is a pretty essential part of the job, right? When someone is coming to you in a time of need, like you said, if your home is literally sinking, you're going to probably be a little bit more panicked and a little bit more emotionally charged with your communication than you otherwise would. So I think that's fantastic that you make it such a point to ensure that the customer is heard, even if perhaps they're entering that interaction a tad more aggressive or maybe not thinking as clearly as they would be if their home was on solid footing.
Yeah, it's a very stressful situation. We do a ton of training for every point that customer encounters in our business. And we have a process that escalates as soon as we know that there's an issue, that something maybe didn't go as planned, as can happen in any construction process. Some things don't go as planned. So there's a full communication funnel internally to make sure that everyone understands how it's being handled, how to best communicate it to the customer, and to do everything that we can to make things right.
Tanya, one thing that I remember from the judges' evaluations of All About Travel was they really appreciated that your organization treats the vacation that is being planned as though it is a vacation being taken by employees of All About Travel. But vacations occasionally don't go according to plan. I've got plenty of examples of that in my history. So can you share a little bit about maybe a time when All About Travel had to make a tough ethical decision or navigate, some conflict and how your organization handled that experience?
Sure. We had a situation where an agent accidentally booked wrong dates. So we had the client coming back a month later versus 2 weeks later. Everybody makes mistakes. It happens. And, some people would probably try to jack the price and stuff for the client to try to compensate for that date change. We did not. We admitted the mistake. We removed our fee. We researched other flights, and we paid the difference because it was our mistake, and we are not going to pass that on to a client when we're the ones that actually made the mistake.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I'm sure that was a very challenging experience, but
Yeah,
experience that I'm sure that customer remembers fondly for how
yeah,
it was handled. Uh, April spoke to this a bit when I asked her question about maybe some of the pressures associated with compromising standards for the needs of the customers. Tanya, is there ever a situation that All About Travel fields from customers or partners who want you to compromise your ethical standards for their betterment, and how does your organization respond to things like that?
sure. We have, I mentioned earlier how we spend a lot of time and effort in having our agents go to different resorts and so on so that we can speak intelligently about the resorts as well as make sure that our clients are staying someplace safe or what meets their needs. Occasionally we'll have a client that'll come in and be, adamant about wanting to stay at a certain resort and so on. And um, we take the time to educate them on maybe that resort isn't the best. It may look great online, but we've been there. Um, this would be a better resort and this is why. We don't want to put any of our clients in a bad situation. So if it's not safe, or if it's maybe it happens to be a more rundown type of resort, we will not book our clients there. We will strongly urge them to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm curious how All About Travel handles, say, like international travel. I mean, bans are easy, right? To
Sure.
navigate, just can't go there. But if there are situations, I'm thinking about in the Caribbean, there were a couple instances, I think, over the past 24 months involving like kind of gray area. Are there any conversations like that your organization has to handle around, even safety? And
Yes.
if a customer still really wants to go to, I'm throwing a country out there, Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
How do you navigate those conversations?
Sure. We go through, we'll go through the risks. We will show them travel advisories if needed and so on. But ultimately, I mean, if the client insists on going there, there's nothing that we can do. All we can do is advise. I mean, we can't say, well, sorry, we're not booking you there, but we will strongly advise them against going somewhere if it's not safe.
Okay. Lisa, is ever there been an instance where, Helitech needs to respond to a customer with, a lot of pressure who really wants you to compromise your standards to support their needs in an urgent manner? And how would your organization handle, such a request?
Or I think the example in our industry is probably a customer that is convinced that maybe the solution that our team recommends is not what is necessary. And we are very transparent. Our free home inspections include someone that has been highly trained, an expert in this type of repair. We have really proven products that we've developed over nearly 40 years. And so if we get a customer that maybe had a less expensive quote from a competitor and is trying to negotiate the solution that we're recommending, we sometimes have to walk away from a customer because we know it's not the best for them or their home. So I think that's probably the example in our industry that we're going to recommend what we believe is going to be the solution, and we stand behind that with a warranty. Our contracts and things are very explicit about detailing why we recommended the solution. If the solution that they don't believe is necessary and they're trying to take off certain items that we know are important to the structure of the home, it doesn't work out sometimes. And kind of like maybe, a customer insisting on going to a resort that you wouldn't recommend. If it's a solution that we wouldn't recommend, we make sure we're very clear about why our products are the best solution, why we use the products that we use, why our team is the best solution. But in the end, the customer has that choice.
April, when you went about developing Diapers to Diplomas Learning Center, can you share a bit about how you made sure that ethics would be, a foundational element of the organization? Because I think for a lot of folks, ethics and integrity are seen as nice to haves and not need to haves. And I think our hope is that this program evidences that very successful organizations rely on ethics and integrity to, at least in part, create successful businesses. So can you kind of take me back, I guess, to the origins of Diapers to Diplomas Learning Center and how you made sure that ethics would be a part of it?
Yeah, well, so I did in-home childcare for 5 years out of my house, and then I ended up coming across a center that was already ran. They were just selling the business, and then I leased the building. So I definitely had to have the integrity and ethics because of my family's loyalty to me. My in-home was all the way in North Omaha, and I had families that my business is now in South Omaha, and they stayed with me. Their loyalty to me was very special to me, so I have to give them the loyalty back, My staff is here and they've been here a long time. They've been with me for years, and there's a lot of childcare centers out there that just is a revolving door because they don't know how to treat their employees. So we have that staff longevity, and then our community trusts us. We hold trunk or treat, like community things that even if their kids don't go here, they can be involved. So we do trunk or treats, and we do parents' night out, and on Black Friday we do parents' day out so they can go do their Christmas shopping or whatever. They don't have to be enrolled. I just want to try to keep the community involved, and we also keep the families involved by hosting for Halloween. We did pumpkin painting with moms and dads or whoever they wanted to invite, aunts, uncles, whatever. I think one of my teachers is going to do like a elf day where they wear pajamas and bring stuffies in, and we can watch Elf. And if their families want to come watch it with them, we'll have popcorn and stuff. So I think the three of those, the family loyalty, the staff longevity, and the community trust, really is an impact of ethical practices.
Tanya, can you share a little bit about how you communicate about the importance of integrity and ethics internally, like with your organization? You guys have ongoing meetings, I would imagine, where perhaps it's even a part of onboarding or training. What can you share about how your organization talks about some of these topics that, again, are seen by at least some folks as nice to haves and not need to haves?
Sure. When new employees start, we always, I start with them and have a sit down, and we kind of talk about like our policies and procedures, which ethics to me is part of our policy because it's what we strive to always uphold with our clients and how we respond to our clients and so on. And we have weekly staff meetings where we encourage everybody to speak up. I have an open door policy. Everybody, if they have something maybe they just need to vent about something that happened with a client or something that happened internally and so on, they know that they can always come to me. And really, we encourage that open communication and talking about things so that everybody can learn and better themselves with something that maybe that happened. This is how we can do it better. We don't concentrate on, oh gosh, you did that wrong. We concentrate on what we can do so that doesn't happen again and make it better, whether it be a new documented policy or procedure or something along those lines.
I like that, making sure that each instance is a learning instance and learning experience for the team. Lisa, obviously you've got a front row seat to how the customer is feeling with the 24-hour notice of reviews. Can you share a bit about how your organization talks about ethics internally, especially with you having such a large service area?
Of course. I think we probably focus most on celebrating the positives. We very much encourage from every level of leadership through our company. Employees are encouraged to be engaged, to be part of the company, the culture, and of course, to engage with their communities. And by celebrating all of those positives and bringing attention to that, awards are a big deal around here. We very much reward our employees and reward teams for doing the right thing, and that's something that we continuously celebrate. So winning the Torch Award was one big example of how we celebrate in a public way, but we internally do that regularly. I think a lot of that comes from having processes in place to train those open lines of communication. The other piece that's in place for us that's very important from my position is to be able to hold each other accountable. And part of that is our CRM system that documents and tracks every stage of the process. So, from the first phone call that's made, we know exactly who answered the phone, who talked to them. Of course, there's recording of that. Every email is documented. Every document that was sent to the customer is all in one place. And to make sure that if something went wrong with that customer, it can be sometimes months down the line after that whole process is completed. If a negative review or complaint to the BBB comes in, we have that full documentation and detail to be able to look back at the full communication. Where did something go wrong? And then, of course, there's a whole process for resolving it. So I think that's a big piece of the focus for our company, and having that eye on ethics at all times.
That's a good example of technology actually lending itself to customer satisfaction and to being able to close the loop if situations do pop up where something didn't go according to plan. You know exactly where in the customer journey, that experience occurred, and you can immediately address it. So I appreciate the technology aspect of the conversation too. One thing that I like about the Torch Awards is that there's an eligibility criteria. I don't know how effective this program would be if we were offering up the ability to win an award if your organization really didn't have a track record that they could point to as evidence of the criteria that we are evaluating for. So there are going to be some folks who see these videos and this webinar and think, that's something I could strive for. I just don't currently have the longevity or maybe even the infrastructure yet to approach something like that. So I hope that this conversation can, at least in part, help inform some of those conversations that newer businesses are having. So all that to be said, April, if an organization was looking to build a strong ethical culture, what advice might you give them?
In short, I would start with honesty, consistency, and clear expectations. People rise to the standards leadership sets. And I try to be a good example for my staff and for other. I am friends with other directors and owners of childcare centers, and when I see something that they can benefit from, then I'll automatically share it with them. There's a bunch of different things that childcares can apply for, grants and stuff like that, where they could get free toys or playgrounds or training or all of that. So I just want to set an example and share that with my other community leaders.
Mhm. Tanya, can you share a little bit about what advice you might give to someone who's starting an organization and just wants to make sure that there's a strong ethical core there when it gets developed?
Sure. Just remember, I guess my advice would be always strive to be ethical. Whether it's not always it's not necessarily the right thing to do, it's the most sustainable. You're going to grow your business. You're going to keep employees. Um, it's it's definitely an advantage for your company to be ethical, and I mean, yes, it is the right thing to do.
Lisa, can you share a bit about what some of your advice might be for a new business owner?
Sure, of course. I think I say the same as Tanya and April, and it's going to start with leadership and that servant leadership to focus on the employees and how they are celebrated for doing the right thing very much translates into an impact on the community and the customers. So that's a big piece of it. And then just to have processes and training in place, some points to look back to, and really focusing on having the right people in the right place and open lines of communication. If you start with that foundation, not to use a pun in the foundation industry, if you have a good foundation of ethics at the leadership level and throughout your training, your systems, your standard procedures, it will translate.
Same to you, Lisa. With such a large service area and a large company, how does your leadership team, and you can define that however you want, at Helitech model? How do they model ethical behavior for the rest of the organization to know, okay, this is the standard and this is the expectation of myself as an employee of this organization?
Of course. I think one example of how that works is many of our leadership teams started literally in the trenches, in a crawl space. They were an installer or a salesperson. They were in front of customers themselves before they became a leader in this organization. And that really makes a difference as well, to understand what those employees are going through and to really have compassion for both the customer's situations and the position that those employees are in. Really makes a difference in our organization, and I believe that really compassion goes a long way.
April, you spoke a bit about the importance of ensuring that everyone's on the same page and everyone feels like they're being developed as an employee of their organization, which I thought was really well put. When you go through the process of onboarding or training, and I know that that's an ongoing process, do you have conversations around the important ethical values and standards that Diapers to Diplomas has? Or how do you weave that into, like, the training process for you and your staff?
Well, I do go over it with them. It's been a while since I hired somebody. I do go through it with them. It's in my handbook, in the staff handbook. So, my ethical procedures and right there in the front, my mission, my values, it's right there in the front of the handbook, and I go over it with them. And we just ethics aren't just a separate checklist. It's baked into hiring, training, communication, decision making, and the way that we interact with all of the families every single day. My teachers develop a relationship with the parents as much as I do. So we all are on the same page. Meets the best needs of the kids.
Good problem to have, to not need to be hiring all the time. I think that's
Yeah, my staff is killing it. Like, they all have their CDAs. It's a child care credential that you have to work really hard to get. I have a wall full of them. I can't move my camera because it's on a desktop, but I have a wall full of CDAs that all of my staff have gotten, and 3 of them are on the TEACH program. It's a program that early childcare providers can join, where the TEACH program will pay for their schooling if they want to get their early childhood education associate's degree, which is amazing. And I am the only center in Omaha or in Nebraska, I would say, that have 4 of their employees on the TEACH program all at the same time, because I'm on it too.
That's a great success story and
So
a
yeah,
great way to share an experience with your colleagues.
yeah. So hopefully once everyone gets their associate's degree, then I'll just add them to the wall. And I got my trophy over there on my bookcase too. So
Excellent.
it's
Excellent.
cool.
Tanya, can you share a bit about when someone gets hired all about travel? Is there, an onboarding process that accounts for ethics? Is there, how do they get up to speed as to what is expected of them in addition to the job requirements, the hard requirements?
Sure. Well, we have those weekly meetings that we work with them and have the open communication through that, as well as I do touch base with all of our new employees to kind of see how things are going, see if they run into anything, and we kind of talk through anything that comes up. I try not to like give them the answer. I want to lead them and have them think through it, so they think through the process. So for troubleshooting, they can that'll help them in the long run for making decisions and helping our clients.
Okay. Lisa, can you share a bit about how you make sure that new hires understand, the blueprint and I almost said foundation. I'm not going to say
I
foundation.
know it's really hard, right?
So hard. So difficult. Can you share how you ensure that your colleagues know what's expected of them, and ideally, if there's an ethics element to that, you shed some light on that?
Yes, of course. So I think probably the best example is in our crews that actually install in the homes. The process of training for them is extensive, and they have to go along on many projects before they're on a crew, and they have hands-on experience, and we bring them in and teach them our way, the Helitech way of doing things, because in an industry like ours, you will find members of the crew that will be hired that are from a competitor that may have done things differently. Our proven success is in the way that we actually install things, and they're held to that standard, and that the compliance, of course, is there as well. Because of the type of industry we're in, there are many licensing and compliance layers by state. And so that is all in place for each of our offices as well. Because there are so many different parts of this process, the other example is in our sales team. I think the ethics of sales can often be concerning in an organization, and I have seen firsthand that the sales group here, we call them home care specialists, because there's really not a whole lot of selling that they're doing. They are, by definition, a sales part of our organization, but they very much put the customer and their home first. They're going in highly trained. I believe our new home care specialists go through at least 2 weeks of product training before they go along on any calls to see a home. Many of them have come from a home repair industry position, and they understand the products, they understand the issues, the symptoms that a home might be showing that aren't always obvious to a homeowner. Some of them are really subtle. For example, before I started in this industry, I would never have thought that just a humidity level or a musty smell can be an indication that you have a foundation issue. I'm learning a whole lot about all of those symptoms in my time here, and those guys just know it immediately. And I'm always amazed at how often they are very focused on doing what's right for that homeowner and sharing details and photos across the teams here to explain, hey, this was a really unique situation. What do you think? Bouncing ideas off of each other and making sure that they're coming up with the best solution. And so that open line of communication is just kind of a testament to how the organization runs.
Excellent. I'm going to ask each of you to share a good story. Hopefully you've got many of them to choose from, but a good story about a time where a customer or a vendor or a community partner recognized your organization's commitment to ethics and doing the right thing, especially at a time when maybe the right thing isn't always the easiest thing. So we'll start with you, April. Was there ever a time where your commitment to ethics and integrity was recognized and celebrated by somebody?
Yeah, I recently just got awarded to be a certified safe place for children, and that's not an easy thing to do. So I'm really proud of that, and I have that on my wall too. So if anybody feels like they're in any kind of danger, then they can come here. We have officially a certified safe place.
It sounds like you're running out of wall space, so we might need to get you.
I really am.
Excellent. Can I ask you for a story related to a customer? Was there ever an experience you had with a customer who left feeling like, yeah, I mean, this is where my child needs to be. They're in good hands here.
Yeah, I would say we had a kid that I don't like to give up on kids, but I want to help the kids. So I did recommend a child be taken to a school that had professionals that would be able to handle the situation, because he had Asperger's, but the parents were in denial. And it's really a hard conversation to have with parents when they just don't see it. But when I've been working with kids for almost 20 years, it's like you really just have to go about it in a really gentle way. So I just recommended, the next time the child was sick, I was like, hey, while you're there at his family practitioner, maybe you could just ask what they think and if they could test him. And she finally did after about 6 months. And now he is no longer is he here, but he is thriving at the new place. It's Behaving Kids. He is thriving because they have specialists that work with kids that have Asperger's. And my staff and me are not qualified. I don't have the qualifications to work. I can work with them, but he needs somebody that is experienced and a professional in that area. And he's doing really well. I miss him, but I run into his grandma every once in a while. She'll show me pictures.
That's excellent. And sometimes the appropriate decision is making sure that they're in the hands of the person who is specialized and able to provide the exact service that is needed. So I think that's a fantastic.
The really bad thing that there's a lot of help for kids that are 5 and under, and even 3 and under. And once they go above that age, it just like disappears. They won't help kids after that. And I just think Nebraska needs to do better.
Tanya, can you share, you shared a fantastic story earlier about an unfortunate situation that, All About Travel handled extremely well. But can you share another story about a time your organization and its commitment to ethics and integrity was recognized by a customer, or by a vendor, by somebody in the community?
Sure. We had a client that went to Europe, and her and her husband went there, and they had an amazing time. And they came back, and not only did they write us a really nice thank you, but they gave us a gift card to Olive Garden to share with our staff, to have a nice meal and stuff on them, which is amazing. I mean, we were just helping them out, but they just had that great of a time that they're like, nope, we want to do something special for you, and they've booked again.
Fantastic. Good food, good company. That's
Yep, yep.
Lisa, can you share a story about a experience Helitech had with a customer vendor who recognized that your organization was doing the right thing and maybe not always the easy thing?
Of course. Yeah, I think probably the unsolicited testimonials that we receive from customers is the highest form of compliment. Last year I had a salesperson who is now a general manager send me a voicemail from a previous customer of his that probably 4 years ago had work done by us. And it was after it had rained heavily, and he was just thrilled that he went into his crawl space all those years later, and it still was dry. When he originally purchased the home, the crawl space was flooded. That point of panic, buyer's remorse. Oh my gosh, there's a pool below my home, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it. And he was just so thrilled with the work. And not a personal friend, just a customer, had our salesperson's phone number still and left him an unsolicited raving review, thanking him that his crawl space was still dry. And so that's always really touching. Um, it's always good to hear that you did good work, but to have a customer unsolicited find your phone number back and leave a voicemail like that was pretty great. And obviously Torch Awards do that in a more structured way, but those everyday positive reinforcements from customers, whether it's telling their neighbor that they had great work done and to call us through a referral, or those unsolicited phone calls back to tell us that their crawl space is still dry 4 years later. Those are always great.
Without a doubt. I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so we'll have one last question for each of our panelists. It'll be a behind the scenes one about the application. We have a lot of folks come to us and say, what do I need to do to put forth the best possible application? One thing we regularly say is show, don't say. There's so many examples to draw from, and typically the visual piece is really important, showing that your organization was involved in a trunk or treat. Your organization has this many Google reviews or testimonials, things of that nature. All three panelists were intimately involved in a successful Torch Award application. So what's one key piece of advice that you would recommend a potential applicant consider when they're going through the Torch Award process? April, we'll start with you.
I would say start early in answering, because you really got to think about how to answer each and every question, and there's a lot of questions. So it takes a long time to do it. So I would say if you are going to apply, then start early.
Give yourself some time. Absolutely.
Give yourself some time.
Tanya, same question to you. What's one piece of advice you would provide to someone who is considering applying?
Take pictures. Take pictures of when your team is volunteering. We try to go out into the community, and we volunteer for Feeding South Dakota, our local food bank. We've volunteered at other locations and community events, and did a donation drive. We do several donation drives during the year. We help serve food at our local banquet. Document that information with staff pictures. That way you have that to show. It helps with the application process, and you can show just how much your staff is involved and your company's involved with the community.
Lisa, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone who is considering applying?
Sure. I'd love to say that I am super organized and keep those photos from all those events, Tanya, but Man, it's hard. Where I ended up finding much of that proof was on social media. So a lot of our team members are doing things in their local community that I may never know they did. They're in parades, they're working at their church, they're doing things that I might not see. But sometimes they tag our company and I can find that back on social media and grab those photos. So that has been a great resource that I've used in the past. The Google reviews are easy to pull back up and read through, and it's always a little heartwarming to read those. So that process is very rewarding to go back through and filter through for all the 5-star reviews for the geography that the award application is for, and read through those and find examples. Thankfully, we had an easy time finding those. But yeah, I think application process, the key part for me was to get feedback. So I shared the application as a document that was shared with several of our managers at different points of the company so that I could get feedback and examples, not just from my perspective as the person that filled out the application, but from our president, from our general manager, from our ownership team, just to be sure that we're reflecting all the different perspectives in that application.
All good tips. One thing I recommend for folks who apply is as Lisa spoke to, make it available to your team. You know, a lot of work goes into this bundle of messaging and bundle of history, and it's a really good opportunity to share that information with your colleagues because a lot of it supports that they're in an organization that they should be, right? That they are in something that is looking to improve and looking to be a strong pillar in the community. So, and it's also fantastic to get their input, but if nothing else, make them aware that all of these things are happening because it's life moves so quickly and we so regularly move on from, you know, these milestone moments. And this is a really great exercise where you can bundle all of these milestone moments together and see, in some cases, how far the organization has come. Another thing I am excited about is anytime somebody applies for the Torch Awards, if they do not advance, if they're not considered a winner in that year, they get feedback. Every single person. All of us have that experience of applying for a job that we didn't get and we weren't told why, and that's a terrible experience. So it's really important to us that every entry be evaluated, and we provide that feedback. And we've actually had instances of people who didn't win one year, applied the next year, used the feedback, and later were considered a winner. So I would encourage folks to look into that and then look into the ways that you can improve and not just feel like, oh, I didn't win one year, I guess my organization will never win this award. I want to thank Tanya, Lisa, and April again for sharing their experiences and their insights with us today. We truly appreciate them taking the time, especially during the busy holiday season. I know that it's a very challenging time, but I appreciate each of you giving us an hour today. For those who found this conversation valuable, we are going to be hosting these webinars monthly. So those interested can mark their calendars for upcoming sessions on January 14th, February 11th, and March 11th. Each is going to feature other Torch Award winners sharing how they built ethics into their business practices. Before we go, quick reminder, Torch Award nominations are open year-round. If today's conversation inspired you, or if you know about a business or a nonprofit that puts ethics into action, we encourage you to submit a nomination at bbb.org/MWPTorch. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. We wish you a wonderful rest of your day and a happy holiday.
Thank you, Josh.